learned a valuable lesson about being in charge. The community garden project was supposed to be our neighborhood's big win, 20 families coming together to transform the empty lot on Maple Street into something beautiful and productive. When I volunteered to coordinate, I was thrilled. Finally, a chance to make a real difference, to bring everyone together around something meaningful. I threw myself into the planning immediately. Research on soil types, plant varieties that would thrive in our climate, irrigation systems, tool requirements. I spent weeks creating detailed spreadsheets and timelines. When we had our first group meeting, I came prepared with printed packets for everyone, complete with plot assignments, planting schedules, and maintenance rotations. This is incredible, said Maria, flipping through the pages. You've thought of everything. The others nodded appreciatively, and I felt a warm rush of satisfaction. This was going to be perfect. As spring arrived, work began. I was there every morning at 7, marking plot boundaries, testing soil pH, and setting up the tool shed. When volunteers showed up on weekends, I'd already have their tasks mapped out. Sarah, you're on seed starting today. Mike, can you handle the compost area? I've got the layout all figured out. Some people seemed grateful for the direction. Others would suggest different approaches. Maybe we should try a different spacing for the tomatoes, or perhaps build the raised beds a different way. I'd listen politely, then explain why my research-backed plan was better. I didn't want to be rude, but I'd put so much work into getting everything right. When the irrigation system needed installing, 3 people offered to help research options. I thanked them, but explained I'd already found the perfect setup online and ordered everything. When Maria mentioned she'd grown herbs for years and had ideas about the herb garden layout, I told her I'd incorporated proven permaculture principles into the design. By midsummer, our garden was flourishing. The neat rows, the efficient watering system, the perfectly planned succession planting, everything looked exactly as I'd envisioned. But something felt off. Fewer people were showing up for the weekend work sessions. When they did come, they seemed to wait for me to tell them what to do, then work quietly without much enthusiasm. Maybe we could try a group decision-making process for the fall planting, suggested Tom during one of our meetings, which had dwindled from 20 families to about 8 regulars. I explained that I'd already researched and ordered the seeds for our fall crops, chosen varieties specifically for our zone and soil conditions. Tom nodded but didn't look particularly engaged. The breaking point came in late August. I arrived at the garden early Saturday morning to find only 3 people there, Maria, Sarah, and Mike. They were standing by the gate, talking quietly. Oh, good, you're here, Maria said, but her tone was strange. We need to talk. They explained, gently but firmly, that while they appreciated all my hard work, they felt like spectators in their own garden. Sarah mentioned that she'd stopped suggesting ideas because I always had a better plan already in place. Mike said he'd lost interest because there was never anything for him to figure out or contribute, just tasks to complete. It's like you're running a garden business and we're just employees, Maria said. We wanted to build something together, but you've built something alone and asked us to help maintain it. I stood there, surrounded by the beautiful, perfectly planned garden I created, and realized they were right. In my eagerness to ensure success, I'd eliminated everyone else's ownership. I'd solved every problem before anyone else could even try. I'd made all the decisions because I was certain I knew best. That night, I sat in my kitchen staring at my carefully organized binders of garden plans. Everything Maria had said was true. I'd created a beautiful garden, but I'd forgotten to create a community. The next morning, I sent out a group text. Emergency meeting Saturday at 10 a.m. I need your help, all of your help. Come with ideas. When Saturday arrived, I showed up empty-handed for the first time all season. 15 people gathered around the picnic table we built in spring. I messed up, I began. I got so focused on making this garden perfect that I forgot it was supposed to be ours, not mine. I want to start over, not the plants, but how we do this together. Maria looked surprised but intrigued. What are you thinking? I'm thinking you should redesign the herb section however you want. Tom, you handle the fall planting decisions. Sarah, you pick the tools we need. I'll help where you ask me to, but no more packets, no more predetermined plans. For a moment, everyone was quiet. Then Tom smiled. So we can actually try that companion planting idea I mentioned? Yes, and if it doesn't work perfectly, we'll learn something. Over the next few weeks, the garden transformed again. Not just the plants, but the energy. People stayed after work sessions to chat and plan. Kids ran between the rows. Maria's herb spiral looked nothing like my original design, but it smelled incredible and drew butterflies. Tom's experimental squash patch sprawled messily, but produced enormous vegetables. By October, our harvest festival drew the biggest crowd we'd ever had. 23 families showed up with potluck dishes made from garden produce. Children played hide and seek among the sunflowers, while adults shared stories and planned for next year. As I watched everyone laughing and making plans around the fire pit someone had suggested we build, and which I'd nearly vetoed for being inefficient, I realized the garden had finally become what I'd originally dreamed of. Not a perfect plot of land, but a place where our neighborhood could grow together. The lesson was harder than learning about soil pH or irrigation schedules, but more important, the best gardens and communities grow not from one person's perfect land, but from many people's imperfect contributions, nurtured together with patience, trust, and shared ownership.